So anyway, let's start over. I think, Al, you want to tell them what we're doing?
Yeah, well, this is because the kids out here this week, so I called it a mini symposium on race and racism. That's why I put it there, Racism 101. I had constructed a Facebook post asking the question of some supposedly learned people what race and racism was, and got
No, wait a minute.
no,
Is
I
that
said
what
what?
you did?
No, I said what race? What? No, I asked
You
the
said,
question.
can black
Can black people be racist?
Right.
Is the question I
Right.
asked. And of course, I got the obligatory no because black people don't have the power.
Wait a minute. That's what everybody responded with.
A lot of people did.
Well,
yes.
Why did everyone respond with that? Thought you ever heard that before?
Yes, sir.
You've heard that before?
Yes, sir.
And that's in your brain.
It is in my brain.
How did it get there?
I've heard it.
Okay.
Somebody,
Where'd you hear it from?
I'm trying to think.
What year was it?
What
Was
year
the first time you started hearing that?
I know
What year
that.
was that?
The new millennium?
So it's recently then.
I mean,
Yeah,
15
I heard it
years,
way
17
before that.
years.
17 years,
Relatively
15 years.
recently, yeah.
Have you ever heard, what's your name again, Mark? Marviesta. Have you ever heard that before?
Yes.
Where did you hear it? First time you heard it now, come on, where did you hear it? Can't pull it up, huh? But you know it's in there, right?
He has it. Go ahead.
I went to, when I was in grad school in '91, I went to a black man think tank.
Mhm.
And Naeem Akbar,
That's what I heard.
Karinga, like, those.
That's what I heard.
So it was in University of
So
Chicago.
the first time you heard it, Naeem came here and gave us
As
a
a matter of fact,
symposium.
we brought him here.
And you're saying Ron Karenga and others actually
I just
were.
remember they were there. I can't remember specifically who said it.
Mhm. That's amazing. Where did you first hear it? That black folks can't be racist because of what? What's the reason?
Because they don't have the power to be
They don't
racist.
have. Is that right? Are you powerless? What's your name again? Marviesta. Well, see, the reason I got to keep doing that, because I got to record this, because this one was a little difficult. The first one that I've had any problems with. But I'm getting you. I just thought Marvel.
I was gonna say it comes from marvelous.
I understand. So now I think I'm getting it. All right, I'll be able to hold that.
Okay.
But go ahead. What were you saying now?
You asked me first.
What is it? The question.
I can't
Okay.
remember. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Let's just go back. Let's start on again. Anybody know the question I'm asking her?
You asked her when she first heard it.
You asked
That's
me
how
if I
we
was
started.
powerless. You asked me if I was
Oh,
powerless.
powerless, yeah.
Are you?
No.
You're not.
Well,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't want to go too fast
Mhm.
because do you have power?
I do.
Good.
I don't own anything, but I
So
have
then, if you got power and you're not powerless, then that means that 9 times out of 10, based on what you suggested, what I saw that thread say,
Mhm.
that thread said that black people can't be racist
Mhm.
because
They don't have the power.
they don't have power.
They don't have power.
But,
Let's
you
see,
got,
yeah.
but you've got power.
Yes, sir.
So that means you can be a racist.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. So now we're starting to get there. But now, hold on. What kind of power do you have?
I have the power to choose what I want to do
Okay.
to a degree.
What else?
Um,
First of all, how many powers do you know about?
Mhm.
I'm just curious.
What is power?
mental power, physical power.
Mental power, physical power. Physical power, let's just use the term work. Matter of fact, let's use work for both mental and physical. All right, work. All right, so then I guess we'd have to take work and make it energy. And we'd say that energy is a particular power,
Is that all?
right? All right, now, give me the power that we're going to come with politics. Is there a power with politics? Is there a power with weapons?
Yeah. Politics and weapons, yeah.
Oh, matter of fact, usually the one with the most weapons usually is the one that has the most power, right?
The ones
Wait a
that'll
minute.
use them.
Huh?
That'll use them.
That'll use them,
Yeah, that'll use them.
usually.
Right.
Now, how about the power of money? You know about the power of money? Usually, the person with the most money has the most power. Is that right? Isn't that how it usually goes?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's dealing with power.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me some more powers. We got politics, money, physical, mental. Give me some more powers.
Spiritual.
Huh?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Oh, wait a minute. If we go to spiritual power, we're going to really have to get caught up in that conversation. What do you mean by spiritual?
My God gives me power to do things.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead, Doc. I got it.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said my God gives me power to do things.
Your God, by the way, what does your God look like?
It looks like me.
So it's a female.
Well, no.
Yes.
It looks like me in the sense of
He looks like me. Okay, I'm glad you said that. He looks like me. I'm always getting on the kids. I get the kids to understand that we don't want to use any gender for God. That's what I get the kids to understand, So we're going to keep gender away from the conversation dealing with God. But in your case, we're going to let God be, for you, a he. Because that's what you need God to be for you, right? A he. Why do you need God to be a he? I'm just curious. And I'm wondering, did you get that the same place that you heard that went into the brain, you told me it went into your brain, was that the same day you heard about God being a he? You heard that one a long time before you heard about black folks couldn't be racist because they didn't have any power, right? But that doesn't apply to you because you got power, right? I'm just curious. Okay. And you were telling me about all the different, Is that my child?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm so happy you here. Don't, oh Lord, me. Yeah. I'm happy you here. Hello? All right. Where I get lost, so you have to bring me back. Where are we?
He, about he.
Where?
Him, he.
He and him.
Yeah, same
Yeah, if God is a he, right? But that's for her.
That was for her, right?
That's for her. God is a he for her. For me, it can't be a he or her. For me. But for you, we're going to let it be a he. And I was trying to figure out when did that go into your head. Can you remember when it actually went in? You can't. You don't know where you got it from. You don't know how old you were. This is going to get strange in a minute. Because if I keep asking you, where did you get this thought? Where did it start? We're going to have to go in and examine. Matter of fact, how old were you when you remember your first birthday?
7.
7. Good. You remember that day, right? Did you have a cake? Do you remember a cake?
Yes.
Okay. Did you taste the cake?
Yes.
Okay, you cut into the cake. Someone cut into the cake. Someone cut into the cake. You eventually tasted the cake, right? Was it chocolate?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay. Do you remember who cooked the cake? Your mother. What was she wearing? Can't get there. All right, well, we're going to do some other exercises later so we can get to what she had on that day. And I'm saying, can you taste that cake? You can. If you can taste that cake, then eventually you're going to be able to tell me what she had on. Now, what does it have to do with anything that we're talking about? See, we need to know where these thoughts went in, where it came from, how they got in. So now there's something going in. Is race up there?
Yeah.
There's something going into our heads about race. How old are we when that happens?
When did we learn it?
When did we learn? There's something going into our heads about racism. When did it happen?
Yeah. I can
Who
tell
put
you
it
this.
in? Huh?
I was the first time the thought of race was projected onto me. I was like 4 on a bus, and my great grandmother and I had to go to the back. And I can remember asking her, "Why do we have to go to the back of the bus?" And she said, "Because we are Negroes." Now that made absolutely no sense to me And I didn't think to question what that had to do.
And
with
you
it.
did you get angry?
No, I didn't.
So
No.
you didn't understand yet.
No, I didn't
Did
understand.
you ever get angry in your life when you finally figured out what was going on?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
When I figured out what was going on was, I must admit, was when I came in contact with you the second time. It's when I began to figure out, because I used to wear triple red, green, and black flags on my vehicle, and I was triple black. I was dangerous. I mean, literally, I'm serious. I was dangerous.
But the only person that I thought that he was dangerous for was him.
I was.
You know, he wasn't dangerous for whoever you were sending those signals to, because as far as I'm concerned, when you send those signals out, you are placing yourself in harm's way.
Well, I had several
and there's
times.
no reason for you to do that, because you don't have anything to prove about this nonsense.
Well, yes, I do. I have to prove that I'm twice as good and 10 times better.
Well, if you do, you ever had to do that? You've never had to prove that you were twice as good, 10 times better. You're lucky.
I operate.
You're lucky. You're lucky. Wait a minute.
You said that, brother.
Hold
Just
on.
said, what's your name, brother?
Prophet Israel.
All
Well,
right.
Prophet Israel, who told you had to be twice as good and 10 times better?
No one told me that.
Well, how did you come into the understanding of that?
The understanding of working against someone who was the opposite color caused me to have to work, and in my mind I perceived that I had to work twice as hard as he was working to get the same amount of respect that he was receiving.
So no auntie, no uncles, no grandfather, no parents, nobody ever told you.
I've heard it, but nobody.
Oh,
really,
you did hear it.
I did hear it. I did hear it. I did
Do
hear
you
it. No one
remember-
directed it to me.
Do you remember how old you were when you heard it?
I was about 26, maybe 27.
Where did they get it from?
That I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's a younger man than we are.
Oh,
Because they
doubt.
projected us.
But
to
all of
in
us,
school.
all of us have this stuff going into our brains that we heard from somewhere. Somebody was saying, and they. Where did this race get created? Where did it come from?
Colonization.
Colonization. You said race and racism came from colonization.
The whole construct of it
Of the colonization.
was necessary in order to start.
All right, hold on. You talking about when Rome colonized Carthage?
No, sir.
No. Well, what do you? How about this? When Carthage colonized
Spain.
Iberia,
Iberia, yeah.
Gaul, which became Spain. You talking about that colony?
No.
No. Well, which colony are you talking? Oh, I know the colony you're talking about. You're talking about when the French and the English went into China and Burma, and they colonized that whole area dealing with China and the opium trade, and eventually you get Annam and Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos. You're talking about that colonization, right?
I don't know.
That's when the Dutch went into Indonesia and when the islands.
The first ones I knew, but you just said I don't know.
No. So what colonies are you talking about? American colonies?
Yeah.
The only American colony that I've ever heard about was, what was American colony? Liberia was an American
Yeah.
colony. I'm trying to think, give me some more American colonies. Some of the territories that you have now,
Yeah.
which are like Puerto
Virgin
Rico,
Islands.
Guam, the Virgin Islands. But the Virgin Islands were taken and bought from the Dutch.
Yeah.
And Guam was a Portuguese possession, and so those are American colonies. The only American colony I know besides that is Liberia, but Liberia was colonized by what?
Enslaved.
Say it again.
Enslaved.
I like
Can you
you.
first define colonialization or colonize?
You can.
No, I'm asking you.
Do I
I'm
want to
curious.
define it?
I'm asking you to define it, not if
No.
you want to.
Oh
I'm
no.
asking
The
you to.
colonies like It's this little thing that you put on a microscope. You put on a what do you call it? A
Petri dish.
yeah.
Or you can put
Oh,
it
a slide.
A slide,
yeah.
and you put it under, and you look through it.
For a
And
culture.
it's it's a colony. You know, and when you say a culture, I'm saying cultura.
That's, yeah.
Yeah,
fresh.
that's what I'm suggesting. And I'm saying we're going to get to the original seed of the thing. But the colonies actually started out as far as modern day colonialization in the history books that we get right now in school. I think it starts out dealing with what Greece was doing, what Persia was doing,
Alexander
and what
the Great.
Rome was doing. What?
Alexander the Great, maybe.
Alexander, anyway.
So they were calling those colonies. Alexander the Great was doing that.
Oh, without a doubt. And Alexander colonized all the way into India.
Yeah.
All the way into India. All right?
I didn't know that.
But when you ask me what is a colony, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to every particular concept dealing with science. I'm going to do it with chemistry, biology.
Yeah, but so that brings to mind then culture. Because we got the African American culture, and you got the black culture, and you got the white culture.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Now, here we go again. We're getting ready to get another one of these terms and thoughts. And it's going to come. What did you say, black culture?
That's what I've been hearing.
Somebody tell me about a black culture. Somebody, anybody, tell me about a black culture. Who? Come on, tell me about a black culture.
Come on, man. Our
Anybody.
music,
No,
chilies.
no, wait a minute. When you say our music, who is our?
We,
Who is we?
us, black people.
Oh, so now.
Oh, I'm sorry, African American people.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, Negro people.
Hold on.
No colored people.
African American people.
No Afro American.
Well, Afro American starts. back
Post
in-
African American.
I think. Wait a minute. Afro American.
Moors.
Afro American. Afro American goes back to Joel Augustus Rogers and Arthur Schoenberg, and those brothers when they were trying to come up with a term other than Negro, long time ago. Afro-American, I think, originally comes in with Dubois in the early 1960s, and he eventually, because of him, we get to some other terms that lead to African-American, all coming from Afro, Afra, and the different terms that came over a long period of time. But you talking about black people, when did y'all become black people? Come on, darling. When did you become a black person?
When I was born.
87.
When you were born. What year were you born? Hold on. I'm coming right back. What?
1988.
He was born in 1988. What'd you say?
It's in 1987.
So you became black in 1987. Now, what happened in 1980? What happened in 1987 for you?
I said it like that.
What happened in 1987 for you?
I decided that I didn't like the other term, so I
What's the other term?
African American.
Wait a minute, African American was nowhere around then, was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Had it made it by
In
then?
87,
It had made it?
87 it had, yeah.
It was on the census. It was really. How did it get there? How did it get there? If I'm not mistaken, when Jesse Jackal ran for president, he actually suggested that they put this on the census sheet. And if you trace this, I bet you that's where you will find African American coming from. You won't find it coming from, who were the Pan-Africanists? No, not Garveyite people. Who were the Pan-Africanists? I think Drake St. Clair, wasn't he one? George Padmore, wasn't he one? Matter of fact, Du Bois becomes, what do y'all call him? Du Bois? I think that's what y'all call him, right? Du Bois. I try to get my children not to do that. I also ask my children not to call, when they hear the name of their auntie, what's the auntie's name? Mercedes? Isn't her name Mercedes? The auntie. And I'm trying to tell my children, well, see, the way that happened is we really didn't know anything about the vowels. And so when we came across all of this, we said Mercedes. We didn't know they were saying Mercedes. And we said Du Bois. We didn't know that his name was Dubois. Then I get arguing with some people. That was his name, Du Bois. Well, y'all have a problem every time you say Illinois. Why would you say Du Bois? Now I'll tell you what you do. Go to New Orleans. Go to Baton Rouge. Go down there and see a sign up there and go in and call that man Du Bois. You know, sign on his business and he's fixing cars. Go in and call him Du Bois. He's going to tell you his name is not Du Bois, it's Dubois. Now, it's really, I think when I first learned about Illinois, and the reason I was learning about it, because I was learning about, what's the guy's name? DuSable. Wasn't that his name? DuSable? You know, what was it? Jean-Baptiste? Well, he was down out of Canada somewhere, wasn't he?
Haiti the other way.
He was Haiti, huh? No, he wasn't Haiti. Trust me on that one. He came out of Canada. He didn't come from Haiti.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He came from up there, and he came down. Yeah, I know that everybody keeps thinking that we went up, you know, but the funny thing is all the folks that was down in Texas and Arkansas and all these places, you think they ran to Canada?
You in Mexico.
They went to Mexico. And this is weird, because if y'all go to Mexico, what you'll see is the same room that you see sitting here right now, you'll see it in Mexico, and Nicaragua, and all, you know, in those places, those territories down there. They've been there all the time. You've been there all the time. Now, what happens is we get caught up in a conversation that got started about race. But we can't, no one seems to know where it came into their brains. What year? You said that black came into your brain 87, I think you said 88, right? 88, is that when you were born?
Mhm.
You were born in 88. When did folks, relative to me, start calling themselves black?
66.
You say 66.
Around that time.
He says around 66.
You better not call
Where's
nobody
the
black.
prophet?
Right.
Where's the prophet?
Before
You sit back there.
66.
When did black become a term that people in this room started using?
Long before we came about,
When did we come about?
Is that about 68?
well, long before James Brown.
What year did you come about?
James Brown put that song out in
When?
64, 65.
69. You said long before. What's long before? Because he's saying
He
66.
was
That's
part
only
of the
3
no,
years.
It was,
So I would put 66 right along with 69.
You
What?
said-
I would say when James Brown put that song out.
Oh, I'm what?
That's
Black and
67.
Proud.
I'm black and I'm proud. You
Right.
say that's
That
67.
was 67. But it started
Right.
the popularization started about 66 is when we first began to hear it.
Is that right?
It wasn't met with wide appeal, because before you get there, you have to go to.
I know if somebody at that time
That's
that you're
right.
talking about, if somebody called you black,
That was
that's
ass
gonna be a
whooping.
fight.
That was ass whooping. Ain't no doubt. I lived through it. Ain't nobody tell me I ain't read it. I lived through that.
I did
You
too.
wasn't gonna be black, huh?
You
Oh,
could-
you remember that, don't you?
Oh man, Roy Jones, how old are you?
And you know if they called you black, what would happen? You're gonna be a fight.
Yeah, you could say nigga and you wouldn't get a fight, but if you said black nigga,
You could
Yeah,
say black,
yeah, it was- yeah.
Yeah.
and you don't get a fight about you get a fight about the black. So folks weren't black. That's some new stuff. That's some new stuff. Matter of fact, I think when I was growing up, it was a problem going on about colored and Negro.
Yeah.
When I was growing up.
That's what I got on my birth certificate.
Which one? Your birth certificate.
That
I like
certificate
that.
that they gave me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Get
I
it
got,
right then.
I got Negro on mine. It's Negro. They
Well-
say it's mine.
Well, ain't that something?
Yeah.
How did you get Negro on there? That, where's it in place they call race?
Yeah, they put it in there.
Well, how did he get Negro on his birth certificate? Oh, what he called, and listen,
That certificate
I'm not
they
calling
gave
it
me.
his birth
Yeah,
certificate.
that's the certificate
He
they
did
gave
that.
me. Yeah,
How did he get Negro on there?
Somebody does it. They put it on.
Who put it on there?
Nurse, probably.
He says the nurse. Anybody else?
The parent.
The parent. Most of the parents, they couldn't write in the room when they were writing on the certificate. Most of the parents couldn't write on the certificate.
The doctors.
The doctors, you said the doctors did it. Well, what did the doctor use in order to do it?
One drop rule.
You say the doctor used the one drop rule. Well, when did y'all make this one drop rule up? When Obama became president?
What is the one drop?
If you got one drop of black blood, you're black.
What's black blood? I'm yet to
This
see
stuff is
some.
getting real crazy, I can tell
I'm
you
yet
that.
to see some. Would somebody please cut themselves right now so I could see some black blood? I really would enjoy that. What?
Do we have a spiritual knife?
You need a spiritual knife
Yeah.
to get black blood. Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. Because she said something earlier about the spirit.
You better
And
find out
I
what that
am
is.
going, wait a minute, he said the spirit, you said find out. Let's do it like this. Let's not deal with the word spirit. Let's deal with esprit
Esprit.
or espiritus.
Espiritus.
Espiritus. Now, let's go into the Latin and let's see what the Romans came up with for this thought that you now are going to say is spirit or spirit.
See what the Romans said?
See, what I'm suggesting to you is that when English comes about, you know what language English is, right?
Yeah.
What?
Roman.
No. Roman or Latin, the only thing that the Romans contributed to English is the alphabet. What you call the English alphabet that you write with is actually Latin. It's Roman.
Right.
Well, other than that, they may contribute about 30% of the roots relative to the words in what you call English. About 30%.
Okay.
Then another 30% could be thought of as Greek.
Okay.
And understand, in order to learn the Greek and the Latin without bothering to study those languages, if you study prefixes, suffixes, and roots, it will help you to learn Greek and Latin. And this is something that we should have learned in school. You did go to grammar school, right?
Yes.
Tell me what a grammar school is.
It teaches you about grammar.
What?
It teaches you about grammar.
And what is
What's
grammar?
grammar?
It's language, writing.
Whoa, no, stop. Take him to the dictionary. Look it up.
See, and I forgot to state when we came in here is that what we've been doing in this class for the last 13 years I've attended is avoid spurious argument. I'm not saying you are now.
Right.
To find out the source. Where did it start? Because what happens, we already seen just right here.
Somebody's gonna give you an argument about why we gotta return to the source. So if you don't mind, I'm just cut you off right there. Let me deal with that. There was once a brother, I'm sure you all heard about this brother. His name was Khalil Gibran. Is it Khalil Gibran or what's his name?
Emil.
Yeah, Amilcar.
Amilcar.
Gibran.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Amilcar. Where'd he come from?
Lebanon or something?
No, not Lebanon. You're talking about Khalil Gibran. That is the author of The Prophet and the Madman and
Right.
some of the other books. That's what you're talking about. No, I want Amilcar Cabral. Where did he come from? He came from right down the road from another brother by the name of Patrice Lumumba. And he and Patrice Lumumba were both fighting the Portuguese. Now, Amilcar Cabral did not start out as the general of the army that would be fighting against the Portuguese. And his country was a colonized country. It had been colonized by the Portuguese. I think that's what you were referring to when you were referring to colonization, right? We're talking about the continent of what? Africa?
Africa and some of Asia, right?
And where else?
Some of Asia.
And some of Asia, like China and Burma and Laos.
I said some because I don't know.
Okay, so this is what we have to do. We have to go in and figure out the whole planet and how this is coming to be, step by step, because we're talking about something that we all swear we know about. We're talking about race. And everybody knows about race, right?
That's the reason I'm here.
Giraffe and
It's
shark.
101, isn't it?
101.
So
101. That's his stuff. That's his stuff.
I've been in the crib telling everybody
That's his stuff. That's his stuff, 101. Reason that I'm not saying 101 is because some of the things that I might say to you, it's going to take you way past 101. But you got to go back and start at right where he's indicating for you to start
What
at
did you get
101.
for, what was the word you were looking at?
Grammar school.
Grammar, what did it
Grammar
say?
school. Did you look up grammar school?
Okay. Grammar school,
Mm.
elementary school,
Oh, you say that elementary school is grammar school?
that's what it says.
No.
No, wait a minute, hold it. No, I bet you if you keep reading, because you're reading one definition.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all cut me off though.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Grammar school and elementary school, the term is variously applied to different school levels, especially that between the 5th and 8th grades. In England, originally a school where Latin was taught, a secondary school corresponding to an academic high school in the United States.
All right, now that dictionary is not the best dictionary for what it is that I'm trying to get you to see. The best dictionary is for what I want you to see. It'll straight tell you a place where you learn Latin and Greek. Is that in your dictionary?
It says, place for, secondary school emphasizing Latin and Greek in preparation for college.
Now, isn't this something? But wait a minute, you went to, but it tells you in elementary school that the grammar school is an elementary school. Let me, before we go, so you don't be stuck right there.
No.
An elementary school is a place where you are supposed to go to learn the basic elements.
Okay.
That is an elementary school. A grade school started out being a place where you would actually grow to the gradual process of the gradients.
Gradients.
Now, there came a time when they started dealing with what they call skipped gradients. It was because some of the children were going to school, but then they would be taken out of school so that they could pick cotton. During the time that they were taken out of school to pick cotton, they actually started the sociology study. I think Du Bois started it, dealing with what they called skip gradients. L. Ron Hubbard picked up what Du Bois had actually introduced everyone to with sociology. Now, I know you're all aware of the fact that Du Bois is one of the creators of sociology, right? Hello? He shook his head, yes. Everyone, you're aware of that, right?
No.
Okay. Well, W.E.B. Du Bois is one of the creators of sociology, all right? The science, the study of the social development of people, all right? Now, why is it that we're getting back to Du Bois as a creator for sociology, along with Durkheim and others? Why are we getting back to that, but yet we can't seem to get to where, who created this whole black moment? Where'd it come from when we started being black in 66, 68, 88? Who started that? Can someone tell me? He said James Brown. He did, I heard him, he said it.
Yes, sir.
He said James Brown. Can you
He said
give
he
me some more
popularized it.
people?
He said,
When the phase
Who?
going earlier, maybe in what was it, the 50s?
Who?
Uh,
What would they talking about? I remember, I'm Black and I'm Beautiful. I was Abby Lincoln, and I remember, who else was singing? Young, Gifted, and Black.
That was
Nina
Nina Simone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nina Simone did one. And wow. And I remember all these, why were they doing those things?
Nikki
Nicky Giovanni.
Giovanni.
She was a poet.
Yeah.
Why were they doing all these things?
They were trying to lift the shame off of.
They were trying to get y'all to quit fighting every time the other one looked at the other one and said, "You black mother." And all of a sudden be a fight. And they wanted y'all to learn how to at least get along. You know, how can we look at this thing so we don't, matter of fact, I keep looking at you, you don't look black to me. What color are you? You're a brown. Well, how did brown get to be black? I can't figure that one out. Wait a minute. It look like you're white. It don't look like it to me either. Don't look like it to me. I know I have on a white t-shirt. And if I ever see somebody walking down the street, unless they are an albino, and they look like my t-shirt, I'm going to have real problems. And I know I better not see somebody yellow or red walking down the street.
But that's the races. That's what they call the races.
Well, wait a minute. Who invented all of that?
Well, I know who invented it, but
You do.
yeah.
But I would appreciate it if you don't tell
I'm
anybody.
not gonna tell you.
So how would you find out? If you really want to know. You want to know, don't you? All right, how would you find out?
I wouldn't Google it.
Good! What? What's your name?
Montez.
Montez, I'm so happy to meet you. You with Marvelous, right?
That's my wife.
Yeah, well, good. I'm really happy to meet you.
I
If you
would
wouldn't
go-
Google it.
I would go to somebody's library, but I wouldn't.
And get what?
I'm not sure what I would
Get an
but
encyclopedia?
You could do that.
Let me
Which
think.
encyclopedia would you get? Would you get the micropedia? Would you get the macropedia? Which encyclopedia?
I would probably try to.
Wait a minute, hold on. You mean there's more than just an encyclopedia?
Oh man, there's so many pedias, and now they got Wikipedia. They got pedias out here on the serious side. But yeah, there's more.
Well, I got a set of micropedias at home.
And everybody better get macropedias, and you better get everything you can find that you can use to reference everything you need. But the most important thing before you get to the encyclopedia is what?
Know what you're looking for.
Is what, Marvelous?
Know what
You got it in your hand. The dictionary.
So you look up all the colors, maybe.
No. If you look up all the
I mean,
colors,
all the designations. For
well, kind of. But I tell you what, I might give you a clue because
Okay.
you seem like you're serious. So help him out, all right?
I got it. Be serious.
Tell her what to
You
look
vouch
up. Tell her what to look up,
We
Adam.
work together.
Okay.
I mean, me, I'd probably start with what the clue was earlier, Dubois. I'd start with Dubois.
Well,
and try to-
that's good, but trust me, if you deal with Dubois, it's going to take you probably 5 or 6 years
That's right.
before if you go through this to find what you're looking for. We're going to do this in a matter of a few minutes, few hours.
So if he created sociology,
Sociology.
then
Sociology?
I would go to his sources.
That's good, but
You can't
hold on.
create
But I'm
something.
telling you,
Most people
if
can't.
you go to Dubois sources to do this, you have some problems. But what she's got in her hand right now, what would you suggest to her to look up?
I would look up first. I would look up race.
That'd be a good thing to look up. Look up race.
I mean, that's a very simple foundational thing. If I want to
Now,
discuss race,
when you get to race, how many of us are going to just look at the definition?
where it came
What is that? The etymology?
from. Yes, sir.
So you know how to do the etymology work in a dictionary?
Well, it tells you that it comes from the Old English or
Good. So you know how to do the etymology work in a dictionary. No. I like what you're saying, what you're doing. And it's good if you know. Because so few of our children know anything about etymology in the dictionary. But you're going to the etymology, right?
Got to get one in the 30s.
Say that again?
those are old enough.
Y'all know?
That should be a 53 that goes back to like
That's one of
47.
the best dictionaries you're gonna find on the planet that you got in your hand,
Okay,
Reverend
well,
Prophet.
I'm reading here and it says Webster says they relate black to Negro.
Okay, well, Webster can relate. But before we get started with this dictionary, let's do this first. The creator of the dictionary is called a what? What's his profession? He's a lexicographer. Good. He's a lexicographer. And he creates a lexicon. When he creates the dictionary is going to be, matter of fact, when he creates the dictionary, what does dick mean? What? A word. Good, no problem. Word. So what is I don't want to deal with shun right now. Everybody knows what shun is, right? You know, dick shun. Huh? Well, see, that's what I was saying to you, that if our children ever learn prefixes and suffixes, then they're learning the rudiments of Latin and Greek without us taking them through the changes of learning the kanyas and kala. You understand? That could take forever. We need them to do this in a hurry.
So we need to do it in a hurry. What are you talking about them?
So shun is a state or condition of being. All right? What is airy? Come on, y'all. I know you got to know what airy is because you're always calling somebody a secretary. You're calling somebody, what else?
Keeper.
Keeper. Good. Keeper of what?
Keeper of the word.
Keeper of the words. No problem. So what's a libro? A libro is a book. So, you know, libro, when it gets to English, finally becomes what? What you call library. All right? And when you put the area on there, which is keeper of libro, a libra, it's what? Keeper of what? Keeper of the books. And the secretary is a keeper of the what?
Sex.
Sex is not in secretary. A secretary is a keeper of the what? Secrets. Who said it? Who said it? That's right. Oh, girl, stop. I know who that is. She back there, and she been in my class forever. So we don't want to just tell y'all anything. I don't mind if you tell them. That's one of my little ones over there. She been with me since she was a little child. And she can tell y'all. But all these old folks who've been with me forever, I don't want them to tell you anything. You know why?
You won't know.
Not only won't you know,
Won't do the work.
you will not do the work. And you said something about Elijah Muhammad one night. One thing that he was real serious about was you must do the work. You must do the work. If you do not do the work, you will not get this. It's going to take real work and effort to go in and find where all this stuff comes from. But you got to find out how that got in your brain about you being black. And they're supposed to be white. How did that get in your brains? Who started that? Where did it start? Matter of fact, what's his name?
Who started it?
Yeah.
Johann Friedrich Blumenbach.
It's in your dictionary. How do you find him in your dictionary? Look up Caucasoid.
A Caucasian. And
Or Caucasian. In one of your books under Caucasoid or Caucasian, you should find Johann. And tell me what it tells you that he does and when he does it. Whenever he does it, that's when race is created.
It's modern.
It's what?
It's a modern term.
Modern time.
Here it is right here. Anybody got it?
Good.
Yeah.
I'll read
Well,
it.
read it to him.
It says Caucasian of the Caucasus, its people or their culture, so named in
Wait a minute,
1795.
whoa. You know what that so name sound like? I remember when this young man, he used to always ask me, Brother Black, why you always calling people so-called black people? Didn't you ask me that?
Absolutely.
And I would tell him I not only call black folks so-called black people, I call so-called white people so-called. I call it. Matter of fact, what did the dictionary just tell you that? What did he do? He's so named. Well, keep on reading to me.
So named in 1795.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that he created this 5 years before 1800?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get in ancient Egypt then. You got to tell me that one. How'd that get in this all this black stuff? How'd that get in ancient Egypt?
People born into present day context. Concepts, and like to take them back to stuff that.
That's
context.
one thing that is happening. But the main thing, you got to go and study Sheikh Gunner's job. And you got to study everything that he did because that's where everybody's getting that information from. But they're taking out of context, what he did. What he was saying, yes.
Say the name again. Shade.
No, let me say it the way that black folks, colored people say it, all right? They say Sheikh Anta Diop.
Diop. Yeah.
All right? I just don't pronounce it like that. His name is Diop. It should be, if you go into your phone to look for him, it might not be in your phone, but it'll be on one of these computers, Diop, D-I-O-P. Go to our site or go to Wikipedia, and it'll come right up.
So, all right, you ready?
But not only will he come right up, if you study, you're going to get his father and his father's father. That's how we have to study. We're not going to be satisfied with any one thing or just all of a sudden somebody tells me something and I've got it. No, we don't have it. We got to do some real work. Go ahead.
1795 by the German anthropologist
Isn't that something?
Johann
When did
Blumenbach.
anthropology come into existence? When did the science of anthropology come into
Not much
existence?
before that.
1795.
Right.
Not too long before that, anyway.
Yeah, a
They
week
were trying
before
to
that.
figure out
A couple
civilizations.
days.
They were trying to figure out what they.
Who was trying to figure it out?
Johann sounds like a European name.
Well, good. Well, European, where in Europe? Since you're calling this place Europe, Europa, whatever, you're
Germany.
saying Germany, but now when was Germany created?
Well,
When did it
right,
come
so
to be a country?
Russia.
Oh man, it's been
When-
a lot of them.
Right.
There's been a lot of Germany.
Even whatever Austria is.
So
or-
now we've got to figure out when Germany comes to existence. So before Germany,
Whoever was there.
he might not be German, he might just be Germanic.
Right.
And most of these were tribes. These were the Germanic tribes. Okay, good. So 1795, he creates what now? Go ahead.
It says by the German anthropologist Johann Blumenbach, who erroneously
Wait,
thought
stop! What's the root of erroneous? Error. Keep going.
that the original home of the hypothetical Indo-European
What? You mean to tell me all those years you spent at Rhodes learning about Indo-European is just some made-up nonsense? Because he said the word what? Out of the dictionary, he said what word?
hypothetical
Hypothetical. That's what he said. Keep going.
was the Caucasus, although the following census are now not scientific.
Oh, Lord. If it's not scientific, what does that tell you?
Fantasy.
Absolutely. It is not knowledge. Because the word science is what? Knowledge. That's it. So I know every time we hear the word scientist, we're thinking of some cat got bugs crawling all over them and viruses and bacteria. But an ist is what? What's an ist? What's an ist? One who what? Whatever. Whatever.
A dentist, one who.
Good. One who what?
One who does, works with teeth.
Now, you know what? I think they recreated something with that one. But give me violinist. Give me pianist.
Well, what about racist?
Well, wait a minute. If a pianist is what? One who loves. And a violinist is what? One who loves what? To play the violin. So you just said, what about what?
Racist, and the word racist
So
goes
then
to what?
the word-
Raza?
So it must be one who loves what?
His group.
The race.
His group. Because I think under race you're gonna get group or raza.
And that's all it's ever meant.
That's all. All right. So wait a minute. Most of you have always impressed me with you have some. You say love for your group, right? Whatever you identify your group to be. But yet you would actually go online and you would say, you can't be a racist because you don't have any power. But you told me, Marvelous, that you have power, didn't you? And you told me you had the power that he gave you, right? When did he give it to you? Before you knew? Well, I asked you about your birthday cake. You having problems trying to get everything. You don't even know what color dress your mother had on and made the cake. So when did you start knowing things? Are you saying before you were conceived? Before you were born? Or after your conception? Matter of fact, you know what? Were you conceived? Were you conceived?
Was I conceived?
Yes.
Tell me the definition of conceived.
Or were you misconceived? Are you a concept or a misconception? Sure. Huh?
That's a heavy question.
Hello.
I'm serious. What do you think? Are you a concept?
I guess I am.
You guess you are. Well, I guess that means you're going to do the work to figure it out. Good. So now, are you a misconception? Before you answer me, what is a misconception? In order to have a misconception, what do you usually do? On the site, I'm going to tell you where to go. On the site, go in and put in a search. What's the name of the poem?
Which one?
Hubris.
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 You talking about beating your children?
Well, no, I'm saying he was talking about conception.
No, I understand
I know what
that, yeah.
you're talking about, but hubris is when he said beating your children. Don't y'all all talk about spat a rod and spoil a child?
Oh God, yes.
He said he don't talk about it.
Oh no, he doesn't. No,
No.
but boy, I got my ass told to pieces
The
on
parents
that
of
one.
your children talk about it, don't they?
Yes, the Bible says, "Spat a
parents of your
rod,
children.
spoil the child."
All right, but wait a minute. Is that what the Bible says?
I never found it.
I haven't found it.
I never found it.
So then we have to figure out where that came from. All right? Because Amilcar Cabral told all of us to return to the source. He said, if you really want to figure this out, if you really want to know things, you want to understand things, if you want to go through what God was saying to Solomon and Solomon was saying to God, if you really want to do that, you have to return to the source. In order to return to the source, anything that you think you know, you've got to figure out how you know it. How did you come to know that? Where did you get it from? How did you check it?
Did you true it?
Did you true it?
Do you know how to true it?
Do you know how to true it? All of those are legitimate questions that we have to learn how to deal with. Now, for some reason, there seems to be a lot of us that don't want to deal with these questions. So we say, well, out here...
Before you go there,
Yeah.
I want to ask you. Now, this cat, Johann, he created this conception, this erroneous, non-scientific, hypothetical conception of...
So you mean to tell me he had a misconception to come alive?
Yeah. About just so-called white people.
This must be the birth of Frankenstein.
Wait a minute. That's my question to you. That just deals with the so-called Caucasian. Did he invent the concept of Negroid too?
Well, he came along with Caucasoid.
How about Mongoloid?
Came along.
So the same man.
Came along with these concepts. They all created them together. And now, wait a minute. Now we got to go find out who he was employed by.
Mm-hmm. And how did he come up with these?
Who did he work for?
Yeah. How did he? What did he use to determine this structure? In other words, I read somewhere he had some skulls.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? And not only did he have some skulls, the guy in France had some skulls too. Because it was a guy in France trying to put this all together because they were competing for something. They were competing for a paycheck. Guess who were paying them?
A
Guess who were paying them?
A company?
A company was paying them.
They got a certain government?
No.
A certain company. Now, when you say a government, the company that was paying Johann also paid Thomas Malthus. I'll wait.
Who was Malthus?
Reverend Thomas Malthus.
Methuselah.
Malthusian theorem.
Theorem, yeah.
Yeah, theorem, whatever. You know about the Malthusian theory, right?
No.
I'll wait.
What is it?
I'll wait. You got a dictionary, don't you?
See, I'm gonna say this again. If he tells or if I tell you anything, you still won't know.
You're not gonna look it up.
That's why watching lectures
But wait a minute.
don't give
I
you
thought all y'all was just
knowledge.
mad about Trump getting elected the other day.
I wasn't.
You weren't mad. Who said weren't mad? You were glad he got elected.
No, just whatever's gonna happen.
Good. But you noticed that a lot of people were upset, right?
Crying.
A lot of people. Crying?
Upset, shaking.
Okay. But why? But wait a
I was
minute.
like,
That means that all of those people have some idea about the Club of Rome, right?
excuse me, I'm sorry, I missed that.
They have some idea about the Club of Rome.
The Club of Rome.
Yeah. They have some idea about John King's or the Keynesian theory or philosophy and Thomas Malthus.
Yes, sir.
Now, you telling me somebody's still looking up Rev Malthus?
I got it.
Well, tell us about Adam. Tell us.
Reverend Thomas Robert Malthus, 1766 to 1834.
Wait a minute. Whoa. What you say? What dates did you say?
1766 born, died 1834.
What's the date on that you gave
About
me on
30 years old.
Johann Blumenbach?
1795.
About 30
No, that's when he came up with this. But there's some other dates in there, and I bet you those two dates are gonna. I bet you they're gonna coincide. Malthus.
Well, didn't his
Blumenbach.
theorem have something to do with the exodus of people from Britannia to the colony,
What
the British
kind of-
American
What I've
colony?
got here, he's known for his theory that the population of the world tends to increase faster than the food supply, and that
Isn't
unless
that
birth
something?
is controlled, poverty and war must serve as a natural restriction of the increase.
So you telling me that y'all don't know anything about Reverend Thomas Malthus, but you know everything about race.
Yeah.
But you know everything about race. And I'm still trying to figure out, where did you get it from? How did it get into your brains? I know who created it. That was one of the people who was involved in its creation. You don't know anything about him.
How did it get diffused into the British American colony? That's another question.
Well, I'm suggesting that he
Or was the United
was in
States
the
by then?
employment of the British West Indies and East Indies Company, along with another cat. Give me the dates on this dude. What's his name? The Wealth of Nations.
Adam Smith.
Give me the dates.
Adam Smith, that's what I'm trying to think.
Give me his dates.
I don't have it memorized, but
So now look in the book. There you go, and get his dates. Now what you're gonna find is they're all associates.
right.
They work for the same group. Now, who is the group and what are they doing? Now you're talking about they're colonizing. They're actually setting up the planet so the sun never shines
Yeah,
what?
on the British Empire.
On the British Empire.
You know what it took me a long time to realize is that the crown didn't necessarily have a lot of money. That it was
The crown couldn't pay their army.
Yeah, they didn't have it wasn't taxes like we know of today. The
The
structure
company
wasn't like
paid
that.
the armies.
It was the companies the companies had the juice.
Yeah.
They had the juice. That's where you look at privateers and pirates. The privateers, the English privateers, had to get permission from the crown to rob the
They would
Spanish.
get a warrant.
Yeah,
They would get a warrant.
and then they had to kick up to the crown. They had to give some money up to the crown.
Until the pirates got tired and they said, you know what, I'm tired of kicking up. I'm going to just set me up a kleptocracy right here on Haiti. But they didn't call it Haiti. What they call it?
Hispaniola.
Hispaniola.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what they called it. And then one group of pirates set up on one end, and the
Another set
other
on
group
the
of
other
pirates set up on the other end. Now we're rolling,
That
huh?
1723 to 1790.
Wow, you mean they're all right there in the same period?
Now, what does this have to do with race?
Well, you know what? This is going to be real strange because
So the
I will bet you.
Controlling
The
birth.
colonies were starting to fall apart.
Oh, were they?
Time.
Were they? Why were they falling apart?
Because they were out of money and they were fighting each other.
Oh, you
Spain
talking
and
about the
France.
British colonies or the Spanish
Spain and
colonies?
France and Britain.
Those are the empires that control the colonies.
Well, maybe there was the companies that were really fighting one another. Kind
So
of like
who were the
US.
companies?
East India.
That's
Right.
one company.
That's right.
West Indian Company becomes another one. The Dutch got a
It's the
company.
same stuff.
The,
Yeah.
It's the same stuff that's going on now.
There's still a
whoa!
There's still
Well, how
extent.
about this one? How about this one? The British West
some
Indies
thug
Company.
life.
Listen, the British West Indies Company actually becomes a company called BAT. Who is BAT?
Is it British American?
British American Tobacco. Well, what does BAT own? Right now. I'm not talking about the colonies. I'm talking about Jamaica.
It'd have to be back.
It's
That owns something else.
No, BAT.
No, I'm thinking about.
No, BAT owns British Petroleum.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
BP.
It's a gas station. Yeah.
Not only that, British American Tobacco was the company that after the Opium Wars were over, they went back into China and they threw cigarettes on the street. They'd come up with a roller where they could roll the cigarettes up and they just threw them out on the street
You know what,
in
man?
order to hook the
Come to
people.
think about that, I used to run a nightclub, and they used to come in my nightclub and give away samples.
They do it now?
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still do it now?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Now, what's all this got to do with race?
It was used to.
Birth control. Talking
It
about
was used to control people's mind to be able to subjugate.
Who? By who? By what? By what group
Well,
of people?
It seems as though, and I'm going to do my research.
Who?
Companies. Corporations.
Corporation. Let's say companies. The companies that hired them to.
Oh, you
actually
said
do
the
work.
companies. I see what you're saying. Okay, because we're going to deal with something later on when we talk about corporations. But the thing is, right now we're dealing with where did this term come from? Racism.
Right.
When did it get into the lexicon?
Wow, now you finna get into something real different right
No,
now.
everybody's talking about racism like they know about it.
You know, I asked a question. I asked, were the so-called owners of African people were they racist? And people tell me yes all the time, and I tell them that's impossible.
Why were they racist?
According to the modern definition,
Because they love their people.
Oh, okay, but see, the thing is, at the time that he's talking about, I don't think that the word had evolved yet to whereas you would come up with racism and racist. See, first of all, let's just deal with the colonies, right? Tell me all you know about Nathaniel Bacon.
Bacon's Rebellion.
Bacon's Rebellion. Let's go.
So that was in the 1640s or so.
Let's go.
And he colonized a bunch of.
Not he
No,
colonized.
excuse me. He organized a bunch of so-called Native Americans.
No, they were going after the
Well,
Native
it was
Americans.
Europeans mostly.
Yeah, they were going after the
But
Native
he
Americans.
there were some of, from what I read, I taught history, but
Okay.
it was like not as at the level that you know. But
No, wait. Here's what we're doing.
but he got a bunch of people who were pissed off,
It's called Bacon's
and
Rebellion.
I'm trying to remember why. They were either mad, were they mad about the land?
taxes, wasn't it?
They were mad. They were mad about a number of things.
Yeah, they were
Taxes are going to be in this.
And
Because-
people were coming and taking their land
England keeps putting
without
taxes
getting-
on.
Right.
without
Okay?
getting permission from.
But here's the thing that Bacon's Rebellion is responsible for. Now, first of all,
oh yeah, I remember.
who are these slaves that everybody keeps talking about? You know how y'all like talking about slaves. Y'all love it. I'm trying to figure out who y'all talking about.
These Slavs.
Slavs, but see, first of all, when they talk about slaves, I try to make people understand you're not talking about any of the people that were my ancestors. None. Not if you're talking about my ancestors. My ancestors knew how to do one or two things.
fight or run.
One or two. Fight or run. And a lot of people ask me how I got here. Well, the cat that got me here, he was a runner and a fighter. And he could not have been that if he had been a descendant of slaves. Now, I know y'all gonna get mad at me because y'all love being descendants of slaves. Isn't that right, Marvelous? What? Come on, talk to me. Tell me.
Not everybody was.
I'm listening.
You don't like being descendant of slaves, right?
I don't like nothing about a slave. But
I'm with you on that one. But you don't, I think you with him too. Okay, good. We together. Because as far as I know, slaves are the lowest things on the planet.
Absolutely.
Lower than whales. You know, that's down at the bottom. You can't get any lower than that, right?
It may be some visceral reaction to that.
And the Negro, the state Negro, is
Wachino?
just one, Wachino,
Yeah.
is just one small degree above the slave. I think they're the same thing, really. And the Civil Rights Museum, that's a slave museum, in case anybody's interested.
Oh, Mr. Black.
What? You was down there. I know you was down
They put me out.
there. But what's all this got to do with race and the fact that somebody has developed a racist society full of racism?
Well, if it's not racism, what is it?
I don't know, but I know one thing. The British West Indies Company, they was trying to survive.
Yeah.
That was about finances. That was about money. It was about economics. Bacon's Rebellion.
Indentured servitude.
Say it again.
Nathaniel Bacon, after that, they ended indentured servitude.
What's indentured servitude? Oh, wait.
That's a good
What-
question.
What is indentured servitude? Because, you know, people relative to me, they act, what you say?
That's European slavery.
European slavery. Well, how about this one? Did you know that a whole bunch of folks that you say you're relative to were, in fact, indentured
I
servants?
did know that.
Yes, you did. So why does everyone keep associating it with some European?
Well, then some of the people were also here before the Europeans got here.
Well, if we're
Maybe.
dealing with Ivan van Sertima, and we're dealing with I'm suggesting that a whole bunch of people right now are taking what he put together and they're taking it out of context, just like they did with Jobs work.
Okay.
And we don't want to do that. I do understand about the indigenous argument that everybody's having, but I know for a fact, I know young people who had that word totally confused. And I think a lot of people still have that word totally confused, all right? So well, we don't want to get into that one right now. We're talking about race and racism. Nathaniel Bacon is important to understand because based on what happened with Bacon's Rebellion, somebody had to come up with a plan in order to separate the two groups that had come together.
Mm-hmm.
The two groups that had come together had been labeled. One of them had been labeled black people, Negroes, slaves. Another one had been also termed slave, but they were called Indians. And they had actually come together. Somebody had to figure out a way to separate those two groups. Not only had they come together, but if you go in and you really study Bacon's Rebellion, like let's say your sister had come and she had come over as a redemption, a redeemer, you know, so she came over on a ship, right? But when she got to Boston, the captain of the ship had to be paid before he would let her go.
Contract.
So how did he pay? How did he get the money to get paid?
Hand that contract to somebody who was going to put you to work.
So he auctioned her off.
Right.
So when she got auctioned off, let's say you bought her and you bought him. What did you do with her and him?
Put them to work. They're gonna be
First thing you tried to do was make sure that she got pregnant by him.
Oh, well, yes, that too.
That she got pregnant by him. You see, they did this to Germans
Mm-hmm.
and Irish and Scotsmen and anybody that they were bringing over on a ship that they were redeeming. And they didn't come over in any different condition than folks who came over in chains at the bottom of ships. They came over the same way. It was just as detestable. In other words, why is it that everyone wants to say, oh, the way they treated us was worse than the way they treated them?
How do you know that? Yeah.
I can't figure out how y'all are actually putting a degree on misery. It's bewildering to me.
Yeah.
And then you want to tell me something, but I've been doing this for years. And first thing people tell me, well, brother, we all come from one race. What race are they talking about? When they tell me that, when they what they say, no, they don't say we all come from Africa.
The human race.
What did he say?
The human race.
Every time that we would have a seminar, somebody would say, we don't have to do this because we all come from the same race. Haven't you ever heard that before? What did they say? The what?
Human race.
Well, the human race is down there with them Negroes and them slaves. I hope everyone is hearing what I'm saying. The human race, it's down there. You know, them slaves is down there beneath that well, dude.
Who said something about humans that they didn't like them? Who was it?
I don't
He
know.
was a very famous person. He used to talk bad about humans.
Who? Dr. Black?
One of them, but it was somebody else. It was I don't know if it was Twain or.
Oh, Mark Twain used to call humans stupid all the time. There was a whole bunch of folks who was calling humans stupid. No, the one you're talking about, bet is Benjamin Franklin.
That's who it is.
Benjamin Franklin. Do you know why Benjamin Franklin thought humans were some of the lowest things that ever happened on the planet? And he didn't even know what I know. See, I know that human beings are the ones that actually went in and kidnapped people from their homelands and took them, would traverse them across oceans, killed and murdered people. Wait a minute. Humans are the ones that aren't they dumping stuff in the sea, in the ocean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mercury, isn't it?
All kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff you said. What are they dumping in the river?
Same stuff.
Well, wait a
Slashing,
minute. How
burning
many,
the
how, many,
rainforest.
how many trees are they cutting down
That's
in the
what I
forest?
said. Yeah, slash and burning. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's
Mountaintop
over
moons,
5,000
all
acres a day in the Amazon. Is it
Yeah.
5,000 acres a day? Well, did you know that they've been destroying that same forest that exists in Ghana since Firestone first went in and brought up all the land? They've been destroying it. Those are humans.
Right.
Why would I want to be one of them?
I'm telling you.
They've been killing people on this planet. And wait a minute now, let me tell you some real evil humans. How many of you know what happened to the children of the Lakota? This is getting real interesting now. What happened to the children?
They sent off somewhere.
Yeah, the one they sent off. Where'd they send them?
To schools. Grammar
To schools, grammar schools. Where? Where were the schools? Where? Pennsylvania, you say? Okay, but who was running those schools?
Not the Lakota.
Oh, definitely not the Lakota. Who was running the schools? Come on, I know y'all know.
Color
You know
people.
all about race and racism.
Color people.
Colored people were running the schools. Well, you mean to tell me colored people have some boarding schools? Where did they get them from?
The companies,
Huh?
the buildings,
What?
the build corporations, the companies.
The companies. Well, no, not necessarily the companies, but a whole lot of churches. A whole lot of churches. And they created a lot of the institutions that y'all call colored schools. And some of those schools started out as boarding schools. So when they took the children of the Lakota, they put those children in those schools. Now, how did those colored people, how did they treat the Lakota? How did they treat the Blackfoot or Blackfeet? How did they treat the different groups that actually wound up in those boarding schools? Huh?
Like England.
Who stripped them?
They took their language.
He says, how did the Negro people, the Negro students
The
treat
Negro students and the Negro administrators at the schools How did they treat those children? You said they stripped them of their language, and what else?
Their culture, their dress.
Everything. But I keep hearing black folks always telling me, well, the way they made us into slaves, they stripped us of what?
Culture, identity.
Everything you just said about those
Well, wait a
children.
minute, though, then wouldn't that be, according to modern day, racism? Yeah.
Oh, it would be. That's what it would be.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to suggest to everybody, because I heard you say that you had to be a part of whatever the society has created. You had to play the game the way the society is designed, right? That's what you said. And what I'm suggesting is that whose world do I live in?
Your own.
Whose world is that? What's the name of it?
You call it Mr. Black's world.
Mr. Black's world.
Yeah.
Whose world are you supposed to live in?
Mine.
What world is that?
TNT's world.
What about you?
Adam's world.
Adam's world. Well, how can you do that, Adam?
It ain't hard.
Well, how can you live in your world?
Because I chose to. I made a conscious decision to. And
Well, how did you find out that you could have a world?
First I had to find out what the world was.
Oh, well, what is a world?
That's man's view. That's what the word means.
Like Weltanschauung.
That's Weltanschauung. That's the German word.
So man's, where it comes from.
Yes.
So man's view is actually, what's Walt Disney? Was it Walt Disney World?
No, ain't no doubt. He got a world down there.
Wait
Yes,
a minute.
sir.
Well, how about Arab world? You ever heard of the Arab world?
Yeah.
The Arab world?
Yeah.
Anybody here heard of the Arab world? You heard of that? Did you ever hear the white man's world?
Oh, man, yeah.
You ever heard of the white man's world?
Oh, yeah.
Tupac rapped it right there.
Yeah.
He did. When you were a child, didn't somebody tell you got to grow up so you can get a good job?
Even
Go to
when I
school?
was a
So
child,
you
they
get a
still
good job
saying that.
in the white man's world?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Obedience to authority.
But
So-
if there's no white man, where's his world? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
If there's no white man, where's his world?
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. Quiet is kept.
Concept.
Huh?
That's it.
Concept.
It's a concept. But wait a minute. Maybe that's that misconception we was talking about before.
So is the
How do
United
you have misconceptions? Matter of fact, the poem Hubris, it says if you spread a rod, you spoil a child. They were creating a misconception. Isn't that how that fella, when he was messing with you one night, he said, baby, you know I love you. And he was getting ready to conceive. And you just, oh no, baby, you gotta, don't y'all tell him you gotta put on one of these things? Huh? What is that thing meant to do?
Give you
To make a misconception, to give you an abortion. Well, when you abort life, that's physical.
Right.
But when you abort ideas, and ideas are life, that's subjective. That's what you were talking about earlier when you were talking about he gave you something spiritual. Ideas. I think that's why they call an idea a noun. Is it a noun, a person, place, or thing, or idea? Oh, it has to do with this thing that you call God. Thought. That's right. You thinking.
It's a reality.
Okay. Now, and as soon as, I think we were just discussing this earlier today, as soon as you become aware of your awareness, now we're going to be really rolling. But you got to get there first. So you get to awareness, then you have to become aware of where you are. You understand? So now we were talking about what she was talking about. I think she was talking about, didn't you say a prophet about the spirit, espiritus? Espirit. And what is espirit in the dictionary? What is it? Why is it important that we go into Webster's lexicon to figure these words out?
You go and fucking whack.
Didn't someone ask me one day about trusting Webster? What do my kids say about trusting
Trust
Webster?
no one.
Trust no one. They learned that from Frederick Douglass. But what am I suggesting that Webster did that you got to learn how to do?
Yeah, they learn how to decipher the word.
Yeah,
How did he
break
learn
stuff
how to
down.
decipher and decode the words?
Learning the etymology and going and do the work.
And the way he did that, he taught himself Hebrew, Greek, Latin. He taught himself a number of languages that he was able to go in, transliterate, go in and do the work so he could follow the words. You learn how to follow the words correctly, you now have elements for a time machine. And you need a time machine.
And you get that valuable component called context.
Right.
And if you don't have context, you ain't got nothing. Because you're not getting the idea of what's coming out of your mouth. If context means, everybody know what that means, right?
With text.
Text.
Yeah.
So what is text? Good. Good. And we have to, matter of fact, I think, what was that brother doing when he was doing the loom of language?
Malcolm?
What was he doing when he was trying to get everybody
He was
to do that? Weaving. Weaving what?
Ideas, reading words, ideas.
Oh, so this is going to deal with the text.
Yeah, that's what context means. Doesn't it say to weave?
To weave.
Text is from Middle English and Old French, and then from Latin, fabric, structure, to weave.
Yeah.
Real simple. And that's what you're doing.
Because each fabric has a different texture. And so if you're missing the vital contextual nuance of ideas, of history, of things that's happened, if you miss it, then you still don't know. And so if you just take somebody's word, if you take his word or my word, if we tell you and you don't check it for yourself to know, you still won't know. You'll repeat something, and we might be lying, we might be incorrect. But here's the thing that consider. If somebody in 1795, erroneously without knowledge, hypothetically named you, and you would now take the very thing that he did wrong and embrace it as a truth, what does that say about you?
Right.
Crazy.
And when someone comes along who says to you, maybe that's not real, why are you looking at them like they're crazy?
I can tell you, when you first suggested that to me, and I was triple black and dangerous, I thought. When you suggested that I had so much invested in being black, that it was something inside of me that just did not want to give that up. I did not want to face the consequences of truth. Not the truth, but of truth. I didn't want to face that. And so what I went on to do was to prove you wrong. I said, he couldn't know what he's talking about. So I just didn't look at this dictionary. I went in the World Book. I went everywhere I could to prove that he was wrong.
This is after the fact that I have never asked anyone, tell me, have I ever asked you to believe anything I'm saying? I've never asked anyone to believe me about anything. What do I ask you to do?
Question.
Go and
check.
find out for yourself.
And
Now,
recheck.
every now and then, what I might do is I'll point over here and over there, and like I'll point to that alphabet back there. Everybody knows that alphabet, right? Everybody knows that alphabet, right?
Everybody.
Where did you learn that alphabet? Where did you learn it? Where did you learn the Greek alphabet? Come on, y'all, tell me where you learned the Greek alphabet. Spencer, where did you learn the Greek alphabet?
At school,
What school?
in Memphis, no?
Did you learn the Greek alphabet before you went to college?
Yes, sir.
Well, most of the folks on my side of town, they don't learn the Greek alphabet until they get to college. And then here's what they do. Ow! 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 That's when they learn the Greek alphabet.
But they still don't know what they mean.
Don't have a clue. Not a clue. So now, what if we actually do what Brother Malcolm, what Elijah, what Noble Drew Ali, what Father Divine, what if we do what all, matter of fact, I know what we were supposed to go over tonight. It just dawned on me. Didn't you ask me something about Herbert Aptheker?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, y'all. We have to hold that where we were. We'll come back.
You got to get back. Somebody got to get back now.
Yeah, you got to hold that because I'm gonna have a problem getting back. But
Greek alphabet.
it just dawned on me. He asked me about Herbert Aptheker, and we're gonna run out of time in a minute. I really want to go over this. Everybody here knows who Herbert Aptheker was, right? Well, here's the question that I put on the site to lead him to Herbert Aptheker. What I put on the site is, how is it that so many folks know all about black history? How many folks are writing books all about black history, and yet no one ever mentions the name Herbert Aptheker? I have not been able to figure that one out. Did you go in and start learning about Herbert? What did you find out?
Well, he's a Jewish man who spent his life's work studying and documenting and chronicling and making a history
Of what group of people?
of the so-called black people.
Hmm. How come we don't know anything about him? Isn't that some strange stuff? And most of the history books that you're reading, most of them, that you're reading from a lot of these new authors writing all about black history, guess where they get their information
His
from?
work.
His work and another guy by the name of Melvin Herskowitz. That's where they're getting their information from. But they never mention them. Why not? It's like Lerone Bennett never mentions Arthur Schoenberg. I'm talking about his original work. I'm not talking about his new stuff. But there was, Rogers, and how many of the brothers came out of the islands?
Herbert Harris, Hubert Harris.
Hubert, yes.
Yeah.
All of these brothers, they came from the islands, most of them.
Yeah.
The Socrates of history,
Powerful.
of what they call black history.
Yeah.
But we don't never hear about these people. Why not? We were talking about somebody with Pan-Africanism. I think I said something about St. Clair, Drake, and George Padmore, right? These were the Pan-Africanists. We don't ever hear anything about these people. The brother who wrote all the books about Marcus Garvey, what was his name?
Tony Martin.
Tony Martin. Tony Martin. What did he say about Marcus Garvey? What did he say?
That he popularized a lot of the concepts about Pan-Africanism
You talking Marcus Garvey?
that had already been around. So from the three you mentioned and Booker T. Washington, he created a concept, he didn't create a concept, but he popularized.
Popularized the concept that they were talking about. Now, how about this one? All of you know about Marcus Garvey, right? One person knows about Marcus Garvey. Where did you get your information?
I read Race and Racism by Tony Martin, Garveyism. I read the
One of his
Philosophy and
wives.
Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Amy Jock Garvey.
Okay, Amy. That's her name. Good. One of his wives. Where did he pass away?
42.
Where did he pass away?
Great Britain.
Where in Great Britain? In England.
In England.
Edinburgh. Good, good, good. Now, he was the one that was going back to Africa, right? Right? But he passes away in Edinburgh, England. Where does Dubois pass away?
Liberia.
You said Liberia. Who said Ghana? That's where he was. He was in Ghana. Now, isn't this something? Now, they was having a fight, the two of them. Right? This is weird. Who got them fighting? The history books. In the history books, it says they were fighting with each other. And Booker T and Dubois will be fighting with each other, right? Where do we? Okay, but where do we come with that? Where do we get that information from?
Historians' viewpoints.
The historians out of the history books, right?
Viewpoints.
The viewpoints of the historians.
No, some people go to the sources of the actual publications that were being written at the time.
To say they had an argument. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You know, Booker T. Washington, was he supposed to be fighting with somebody, Dubois, somebody?
Well, Dubois was fighting with Booker T. Washington.
Dubois was fighting with Booker T. Washington. Now, do you know Dubois' buddy? His partner.
Main guy.
Man, number one, Ace Boone Coon.
I got my guy.
Who?
This Jewish guy.
No Jewish guy. Spring Arm and all the rest of the so-called Jews that Dubois was beating out their money. I ain't talking about none of them. I'm telling you his number one henchman, his partner. His name was what?
William.
I'm thinking that's what you're writing. I could hear it. Monroe Trotter. That was his number one Ace Boone Coon. Now he's on the site, but I don't want you to go to the site and do any research. Go everywhere else and do it. Then go to the site. Like you found Apteker. Apteker wrote books about one particular thing in particular. But did you know how many of you knew? No, you didn't. None of you know apoteka, right? You just finding out about it. He was a student of W.B. Du Bois. That was his teacher. Du Bois was his teacher. He became the lead person for knowing about what he called slave insurrections. Now, when I first read his book on slave insurrections, I accepted what I read. I was a young person. I'm grown when I realized, wait a minute, something's not right there. Why did I start thinking that something's not right there? Now, at this point, I love this man. I've found so much information, so much data over the years. But like I said, one day I realized that don't sound right, slave insurrections. You know about all the slave insurrections, right? Right?
All of them? No.
I know about a few.
You know about a few.
Couple,
You've been-
yeah.
Slaves
Yeah,
never
several.
insurrected.
What?
Slaves never insurrected.
I hear you. Go on, tell him this, Sammy. Tell him. Come on, tell him. I like that. Help him out.
Slaves don't fight back.
Slaves don't fight.
Yeah, tell
Huh?
them.
Enslaved people will fight back. But enslaved people are not slaves. You follow me? But slaves, if we're talking about slaves, and I think everybody usually is talking about slaves, they're talking about people that do what? You just said they'll
Tell them.
How do we know they'll tell on?
Because that's what they did.
When did they do this? All you good historians, come on. When did slaves?
Well, if you they just showed a movie, but part of it is accurate on Nat Turner.
Oh, did they just show the movie about Nat Turner?
Slave told on him.
What the slave tell?
Where he was.
There you go, boss. Right there, boss. Right there under that there bush right there, boss.
If you research Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, the Stono Rebellion.
Well, how about the guy over in Haiti? Who
The
told on him?
Son Overture.
Who told on him?
They set him up, didn't
Yeah.
Who set him up? But they get somebody to tell on him to set him
they?
up.
You know who told on him? Some slave.
Well, the slave was the guy that said he was fighting with Toussaint.
Who set up Malcolm?
Well, you know those had to be slaves. They had to be. Ain't no doubt they were slaves. But they didn't know they were slaves. Guess what they were? They were exes. Let me tell you something. I looked at them, some of them exes one day. I said, well, you a baseball cap, huh? You're a T-shirt. You're an ex. Ex what? What was Malcolm when he first became an ex? What did he say was ex what? Ex dope fiend?
No.
Ex con artist? Ex what? Ex nickel. There's a lot of things that he was ex. But what is an ex?
Unknown.
An unknown. So it represents what? It comes from, I think it comes to us with the unknown. It deals with algebra. The mathematical symbol in algebra for the unknown. It comes to algebra because algebra is not a Roman or Latin science. Algebra is an Arabic science. And it actually, the unknown, this X, is Roman, it's Latin. It's not Arabic. So this, matter of fact, in Arabic, which is algebra,
Right.
you know, and if you look up algebra in your dictionary, it'll say Arabic. And al is the word
alcohol.
the. Huh?
Like alcohol.
Wow.
All of the words dealing with al.
Sharif.
Allah.
Sheriff.
Yeah.
Sharif.
No problem. Because now we're dealing with the. If we go to L, we're at the. If we go to il, we're at the. If we go to j, we're at d. We're at the. No, d. No, wait a minute. Duh. If I say the, did I say duh or did I say the?
You said God?
No, I said the. I said the. No, I did not say d. No, I did not say the dough. I know what I said. I said dough. Right? Because if I do not watch myself and I don't do what I'm supposed to do, then all of a sudden, all of the T's and TH's will become D's. And then I won't found anything. I found it. I won't found it. I found something. No, I found it. And if you listen carefully, what's happening is there's a structure based on something dealing with the way that we speak and where that all comes from. Why is it that our children in this room right here, they're learning how to actually know how to say the instead of D?
Or script.
Huh?
Or script instead of strip.
Good.
So the
Or
second-
script.
Yeah, so a friend of mine's from is Ethiopian, and he was like, "There's no sound. Like a lot of these sounds just aren't."
That's
new.
right.
So a lot of this is just it just doesn't.
So
match up.
what does
It
he
doesn't match
speak?
up.
What does he speak?
Uh,
Did you know?
I don't know.
Was it
I know
Amharic?
he speaks it. He knows
Amharic
it.
or Oro?
I don't know. I wish
Now
I-
understand, what you're saying is absolutely right. There's no TH, but now
So
they want
there's
to be
something in
critical
our
of
brain
me.
that's fighting against. There's something in our brain
That's right.
fighting against this language. That's
And
being
somebody
pushed on
will
us.
be critical of me because I can't do it, but I have to teach myself to do it
We're
regardless.
teachers too.
That's right. How about this? I think they said that y'all can't roll the R. Isn't that right? You can't roll the R? Now this is weird because whenever I go to Nicaragua or Puerto Rico, they're rolling R's all day long. I can't figure it out. And they said, well, but see, y'all got these problems with these words and these sounds because, once upon a time, people didn't have these sounds in their languages. Nonsense. So-called black people, if they want to call them that, coming from the continent of Africa, they go to Russia, China, they go all over the planet. I mean, they've got the second largest diaspora on the planet. Who's got the first, the largest?
Asia.
Who?
Asia.
What Asia? When you say Asia, what are you talking about?
Asian people.
Huh? Well, who's Asian people?
The math.
That's a good question, right?
Are you talking people out of India? Or are you talking about people out of China?
Kazakhstan
A lot
or
of people.
Oh, you're talking about Asia?
right.
If you got to be careful when you say that word Asia, because if you run across people I grew up with, they'll say, "Well, brother, you Asiatic."
Asiatic black.
That Asiatic black man. What are you laughing about? What? See, look here. See, he up here laughing. And then somebody gonna get mad if I look at him and I say, "White boy, what you laughing about?" Right? Well, why? Why would we get upset? I'm beginning to wonder if this racism thing and this whole race concept they got put in your. Matter of fact, didn't y'all just say that this boy, what's his name, Obama, he was a black person?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
One drop rule.
Right.
Well, y'all made up a one-drop rule?
No.
When did that happen?
Code Noir. You hear?
So now you're with the black codes. Now we're in France.
Yeah.
But wait a minute,
When did that happen?
Here's Virginia. Virginia had a one drop rule. Louisiana had a one drop rule.
Well, wait a minute. You mean that legislations put? Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you something about Virginia. And where else did you say?
Virginia, all the states, the southern states in particular had.
Well,
had
not
these
only
rules.
did they have that in their law, but they also had in their law that they no longer wanted to be a part of what was becoming the United States of America. That was there too. And then I get people want to tell me about they were heroes. But if I'm not mistaken, if you get charged with treason, that means then you're part of the country, you're not a hero. So if I'm not mistaken, that was treason, wasn't it?
Oh, high treason.
So how are they heroes? So somebody's gonna argue with me about, that my flag just as good as the other flag, and then when I tell them it sure is, now they don't understand. See, I'm not a proponent of doing anything to the what they call that thing?
Nathan Bedford fired statue.
The flag.
The flag, the
What they call it?
federal
The
flag.
banner?
The banner is the
The
flag.
battle flag.
The battle flag.
That's the battle flag.
But see, this thing is what difference is that flag to me than the one that flies over what y'all call the United States of America?
Yes, they both did the same thing.
They've both been doing the same thing since their inception.
Oh man, you stepped on some toes.
Well, good. We're gonna step on a lot of toes because the point is, what is race, racist, and racism? I would bet you if you looked up the word, it told you the word was not even in use in the 1800s.
No, 1935, I think it comes into the next.
What's wrong, racism?
Yeah, racist, yeah.
Yeah, but now you gotta go back to race.
Yeah.
There's a
And what,
question mark.
say it again.
In the etymology, in my dictionary, it's just got a question mark.
I understand. What I'm suggesting is that the term race actually gets established in the late 1700s.
Yeah.
By the early 1800s, now they're trying to come up with these add-ons based on what, matter of fact.
Well, Mr. Black, before you, how did it get diffused throughout the British American colony and other parts of the hemisphere? This concept of race and become associated with inferiority.
We got to go back to what you were saying about, what's his name? Nathan. Nathaniel, what did you say?
Oh, Nathaniel Bacon, excuse me.
Nathaniel Bacon. We got to start with Nathaniel Bacon because before Nathaniel Bacon, up here in Boston, Massachusetts, Maine, this area up here, there's a group of people, matter of fact,
New England.
how about, yes, New England, right?
New
There's a group of people, what is tomorrow? What is tomorrow?
Never get here? Oh.
Thanksgiving. Okay, no problem. Well, what happened on Thanksgiving? What happened? What?
Scared a bunch of Native Americans, some people do.
Okay, some people believe.
Some people believe.
Well, what do you believe?
I wasn't there, I have to look at it.
So now how do you find what actually happened? How many witches were actually burned? What did the witches look like?
And that newspapers, is that propaganda like the Boston Massacre, or is it?
How about this? But the Boston Massacre you said was propaganda, right?
Well.
Why was it? I agree, it was propaganda. But what kind of propaganda is it?
It was nationalistic propaganda to give people.
No problem. How about this one? When I was growing up, they showed Crispus Attucks and his crew with guns aimed at the British soldiers. And the British soldiers had guns aimed at them, right? Here's what I want to ask y'all. Have you ever read the court case?
Yeah.
Well, in the court case, the British soldiers didn't get shot. The only ones that got shot, Crispus Attucks was killed. And the people that was with him, they got shot.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? If they were aiming guns at the British soldiers, and the British soldiers were aiming guns at them, how come only the Americans got shot?
Because they didn't have guns.
They didn't want to have
snowballs.
Right.
Snowballs. That's all they had was some snowballs. So Crispus Attucks, isn't that the one that they got y'all teaching in school to the children about black history? He was the first American to die in the American Revolution, right?
Well, depending on
For throwing snowballs at the British. Why was he throwing snowballs at the British? We back to where you start. What's his name?
Nathaniel Bacon.
Nathaniel Bacon. Now, when did that happen with Nathaniel Bacon?
From what I remember, it was mid 1500s, wasn't it?
Hold on. What'd you say?
1676.
Good. How did you remember that?
It was
100 years before.
He said 1676. Come on.
100 years
What?
before the American Revolution.
All right, so he's going 100 years before the American Revolution. Now, when you were going to school, what did they teach you about the American Revolution?
Started the country.
Started in 1776.
Is that when it started?
75.
That when it started?
1750 something.
You said started in
It was after the,
1750.
French and Indian War.
Okay, so we're back to the French-Indian War, so we're dealing with Canada and all of this, and hold on now, hold on. That's the British North American colonies again. Hold on.
Okay.
Before we get there, we have to deal with the fact that we were just getting ready to talk about this thing y'all doing tomorrow, right? You're celebrating what?
Thanksgiving.
What are you shaking your head no for? You're not going to do it. You're not going to celebrate Thanksgiving. Why?
to be thankful for. That,
Come on, tell
what
me.
happened is worth being thankful for.
We're talking about race and racism, right?
I believe that holidays like those are constructed for me to.
Who constructed it? Who constructed it? It's on the site.
The companies who want to sell.
It's on the site. It's on the site.
Sure is.
Now, here's the point that I'm making when I keep saying it's on the site. Because I wanted him to keep doing some work. Everything is, we got a site. Everything is there in front of everybody so they can just go and do the work. But most of us won't bother to look. Isn't that right, Adam? Most of us will not bother to go there. Even though, do we put a lot of stuff out there to try to keep everybody?
Keep up with.
So we want everyone to know who constructed Thanksgiving and when. I think it says that Thanksgiving was constructed by Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
When? Well, he did this at the same time that he constructed Christmas. At the coming toward the end of the war, of the Civil War, he wanted something to try to bring the country back together again. So he was going to create these two festival times. One was Thanksgiving and the other is Christmas. He went and got a guy who became thought to be the greatest American cartoonist, caricaturist is what they used to call him, to have ever developed. I think he worked for Vanity Fair. His name was Thomas Nast. He drew Santa Claus. You know, the Santa Claus that you grew up thinking, he knows when I've been, isn't that right? Isn't that right? The one dressed in red that knows everything about you.
Come down the chimney.
You know, that sounds like your he. It sounds just like your he. The one you was telling me about. He knows when you've been good. Oh, you said it's the same concept.
It's the same concept.
Don't get mad at me, get mad at him. He's the one talking.
It's the same concept.
Yeah. But understand, Thomas Nast, he came up with a character for Abraham Lincoln. That character was Santa Claus. And he drew the character. And they created the holiday.
Saint
They
Nick.
also
The devil.
Saint Nick. Oh, now you saying that Saint Nick is the devil, you on somebody can be mad at you. Y'all don't like him talking about, you know you don't like him talking about your devil, do you? Y'all talking about you racist. You know how you feel about your devil.
Sissy devil.
Yeah, the sissy.
I said
No.
Saint Nick.
No, Saint Nick. The word Nick means devil.
Okay.
You know how they say nickname? Nickname is your devil name.
Yeah.
When you say
It's
a
in the
nickname.
dictionary. We didn't make it up. It's
Everything that we're saying to you, you can go and look for yourself. No one is asking you to believe anything. If you start looking, at least you'll come back.
So, Mr. Black, before we close, speaking of that, I did some research when I was a manager of labor relations for the federal government, and I wanted to sue the federal government for celebrating Christmas because that's a religious holiday, right? It's not. Not according to the Supreme Court.
Not according to the Bible.
No. Christmas is not a religious holiday. That's why all the government agencies are off.
Matter of fact, have you ever looked at the word holiday? Come on, I'm asking y'all a question.
Yeah.
You've looked
Yeah,
up, it's what?
Holiday.
That's
Holy
exactly what it is. Holy day. Now, all y'all knew that holiday is holy day, right? Come on, tell the truth. Did y'all know that a holiday is a holy day? Oh, you say you didn't? Wow, you telling the truth. Isn't it something? I'm suggesting most folks don't know. And most folks don't have a clue about this word they keep talking about they know all about. They don't know when it came into existence, who the lexicographer was that created it, who the lexicographer is or was that wrote the definition. Does the same lexicographer write the definitions for Webster's dictionary? Who else has a dictionary in their hand? A dictionary, is that? Yes! What's the name of that dictionary?
Webster's Encyclopedia of Dictionaries, New American.
Is the same lexicographer writing the insert for that dictionary as who's writing the insertion for this dictionary? You're saying no, Smith? How do you know?
That'd be a lucky guess.
I like that. I like
It's an
that.
encyclopedia dictionary, so that must mean it's.
So you know that's going to come from probably a different publisher, right?
Yes, sir.
each publisher is going to hire its own lexicographers. And they're going to be the ones that put the definition in, which is the insert.
And that's assuming that Webster's is the only dictionary, and it's not.
But there's a lot of them in here. American Heritage, there's all kinds of dictionaries in here. And here's the thing that I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to learn whatever it is that Webster, Merriam, everybody had to learn in order to become a proficient, efficient lexicographer. You got to learn how to do that. I'm not asking you to learn Hebrew. I'm not asking you to learn Latin. I'm just asking you to learn the techniques that they use to create definitions so that you can start to define for yourselves.
So I want to ask them before we close, that how this affected me is, anybody ever heard the term diamonds are forever? Anybody got a diamond on right now? And where did the term diamonds are forever come from?
De Beers, a marketing company.
De Beers what?
De Beers is a diamond company.
Diamond company.
But
hold
they
that
were
thought.
involved in marketing.
Yeah, hold that thought. No, let's go to De Beers. Who are the Beers?
A family.
A family. You ever heard of them?
Right.
Very rich family.
Right.
I mean, controlled 80% of the diamonds on the planet, right to this day. They still do. Very rich family, right? How you know that?
How do we know that they were a very rich family?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. So I believe that at one time too. Ain't got a dime. Ain't got a dime. Cecil Rhodes found a diamond plume on some land. You know who Cecil Rhodes is?
English guy.
Yeah, very wealthy English guy. I think, didn't Bill Clinton have a scholarship from his university? Rhodes? Yeah. Well, anyway, when Cecil was over in Africa and he found this diamond plume, he contracted the people that owned it with some brothers, and he says, look, I'll give you $40,000 for this land. And they was like, man, they were poor. They was like, hell yeah. So they sold it, and he developed it, and that became the richest diamond company on the planet. Those were the De Beers brothers. They died without a penny. Without a penny. But he kept the name. He didn't have to have the name of Rhodes Diamonds. He kept the name. Well, later in the 20s, people began to sell their diamonds. You know, this was during the Depression. They began to sell their diamonds, and what happened was the diamonds started coming back on the market, and it drove the price down. So De Beers came up with a slogan, diamonds are forever, so you wouldn't sell them diamonds. That was it. Same reason you eat bacon and eggs for breakfast is the same reason you believe diamonds are forever.
They did a marketing plan to get you to put it on your finger when y'all get married.
Swear to God.
It was just a marketing scheme.
Now, don't take my word for it. Look it up. And look up why you eat bacon and eggs for breakfast. The same thing.
So now, the thing, before we get out of here, because we got to go in a few minutes, does anybody have an idea where to start so that you can find out? And I'm not trying to convince you to do anything. I'm saying to you, Amilcar Cabral asked all of you to do the work, to go and locate the source of something. Do you really have a problem with, because everybody keeps telling me, why do we want to know where it comes from? Why do we want to know the origins of it? It's just here. Well, if it's here, is it here for you? In your world? In your worldview? How did it get there? Can you learn how to eliminate it out of your worldview for yourself? If you ever get it out, you just got out something that occupies 75% of all your mental energy. If you ever get that out, maybe we can actually put something in that's worth something. Because right now, you're dealing with a waste of time.
So if I'm not black, what am
I have had so many people over the years. Have you ever witnessed somebody in the audience ask me that dumb shit? Excuse me, y'all. And they'll ask me that. Well, what do I call myself? Nigga, you can call yourself anything you want to. I don't care. Why should you be asking me, what should you call yourself? I don't know how many times I've gone in and I get so sick of that nonsense and I'll write Africoid. And the lady will take the sheet of paper and she'll say, You can't do that. Well, why can't I do that? I thought you asked me something about a race. I'm Africoid on here. You can't put that on there. You just got to put a check mark by something that's already there.
Too late.
Well, wait a minute. Why do I have to put a check mark by something you want me to put a check mark by? And I can't write something that I feel relative to. Matter of fact, I don't want to write Africoid. I'm going to write, I'm Anu Yamoiva. And then when she asked me, well, what's Anu Yamoiva? Damn it, go look up a Tennessee history book. And look at what the people were called before the people that made this Tennessee. I think those people, when they use their language, they call it Tanasi. And they now would be called by the people who call it Tennessee, would call them Cherokee and Chippewa and Choctaw. But they call themselves Anu Yamoiva. Now, if I want to be a race, why can't I be that?
Yeah. Now hold that thought, because listen, this is where this really hit me hard. Here's somebody that named what they said I was, and Negro it only means black. It's black in Spanish, right? That's all it means.
Negro is black in Spanish, not Negro.
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 It comes down to me in a very negative fashion because.
Well, how do you get a Negro?
Huh?
How do you get Negro being Negro? How do you get that?
E being long.
E being long? How long? How long? Not long. That's what the monkey said when he got his tail cut off. How long?
My question is, when this stuff came to me, except black, and this is just my judgment, is that only a few of us were alive at the time to choose the political designation as black. That was a choice that we made in the 60s to be black. It wasn't on the birth certificates they had of us. It was an embarrassing thing to say, and some young people helped turn that thought around, and we chose that as a statement against the construct that we were living in. That's what being black was about. It got dissipated, and its intention really got muddled. And then you also had concurrent with that, the Negroes went into hiding, and they reemerged in the early 1970s as what, Mr. Black?
The Negro?
Yeah, he reemerged in the 70s.
They came back with they come out African Americans?
African Americans.
Oh.
See what happened to the Negroes? Something had to happen to the Negroes. All the Negroes didn't come black because the Negroes did not want to be black. I know this.
Perkins.
They didn't want to be black. So they reemerged. They named themselves something more acceptable.
And then, wait a minute, here's what they would tell me. Well, see, it's black culture. And so I would ask the question, I think like what you asked me earlier about colony, and I'd say, well, a culture is something that you put under the microscope, isn't it right? And you look through the microscope and you turn the dial so that you can see the smallest aspect of the thing. That's a culture. Mm-hmm. I think you find culture in aquaculture and you find culture in agriculture, but when you find culture in people, we have to go back to cultura. And when we get to cultura, we're getting to the language that the word actually comes from. And once you can do that, you're creating a time machine that allows you to go through this in such a way so that you can get to the original concept.
And you're going to always get the food.
Now you will not have a misconception. You will not have an aborted idea. At some point, you've got to create your own ideas. If you're talking about a black race, if you're talking about race and racism, you're talking about something. Wait a minute. Is that something that white people created?
Yeah, so-called.
You saying white people created?
So-called.
And I'm waiting on a white person to walk down the street. I'm waiting on it. So as it happens, I'm
wait a minute, hold on. So if so-called white people don't exist, then what are they?
I don't know what they are. You know what they probably are? They're probably albinos.
Yeah.
I think if you look it up in your dictionary, I think that's what you'll find. I think that's what you'll find if you come up with something that's white. You come up with albino.
Well, all white people get along. They plot against us.
What are you talking about? Let's see. The French kill the English. Yeah. The English kill the Germans. But wait a minute. How did the English win the war? And this is gonna be weird. Come on, y'all. We gotta go. We past time. But I'm curious. How did the English win the war? There's 2 world wars, right? Weren't the English supposed to be winners?
Yeah.
They won
Wait a minute, the World War?
the world wars, the so-called world wars. Okay, the English won, right? How many people were on the island?
Of England?
Yes,
ones
of
fighting.
England. What?
Less than the number that were fighting.
Well, this is gonna get weird, huh?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me that the number of military people fighting in the military outnumbered all the people on the island. Now this is gonna get weird. So now we're gonna figure out what everybody's doing when they're talking about race and racism. Now we're gonna get to some real information, but it won't be nonsense.
Yes.
If somebody is coming with some nonsense, but it's going to give you a definition that makes you powerless, and it seems like you want to have power, right? So if someone comes along and says, hey, wait a minute, if you actually decide to take that nonsense out of your brain, that you'll have some space so that you can get you some power at last, forever, for yourself. Why not? Why would we keep going with that nonsense where people are just creating definitions to make us be powerless? Black people can't have power.
I
Is
can
that
tell
right?
you this. Anybody know where Holy City is?
Yeah.
I know you know where Holy. Anybody know where Holy City is? 1614 Lawndale in Chicago. Spice Lord City. Well, let them take their ass over there and say, y'all ain't got no power.
Police can't do that.
And my white privilege is gonna serve me here. Let them take their ass over there and tell them that. And when they beat the frame off their ass, then you tell me that they couldn't practice racism, because that's their group.
But you can play the piano and the violin, right?
Play a little bass guitar.
And if you can play the instrument, you probably love the instrument, right? So a racist is what?
Person that loves their group.
A person that loves their group. So what's everybody talking about what they can't be?